Hey, what's up, everybody? Media44 coming at you with another video. All right. So, I'm a creative that has a lot of confidence in his ability to come up with his own stuff. Y'all know that. And because of it, I have no problem telling y'all when I consistently piggyback someone else's stuff. And that's exactly what I'm doing again. But it's always relevant because when I do so, it's because I see something there of my own. So, Ticket TV, as I usually do these days, he's dropping content telling us that Giannis Antetokounmpo is, he worded it in such a way to say that he's expected to join the Lakers. I don't believe after watching his content that's actually what's going on there. But, Giannis is putting pressure on his own organization to continue to improve upon the championship that they won in 2021. And I think that the pressure is due. I've been telling y'all, if you watch me enough, then you've heard me mention the Bucks here and there. I don't talk about them as much as most of the teams that are in the league. In fact, I talk about them probably the least, but it's because they don't really make a whole lot of moves, and they haven't really done a whole lot with their roster, and it's rightfully so, since they had a championship caliber team with a timeline that seemed to have parity amongst itself. A lot of the players that they had ate up the majority of their cap, so really the only moves left to make were smaller deals, and even the smaller deals they had were of longer contracts. Guys like Bobby Portis and Bryn Forbes, stuff like players like that who were on their team. It didn't really require a whole lot of GMing, so to speak, to get the Bucks going over the last several years. But I just feel like they've kind of taken that and not found a balance to continue to look for what would otherwise keep them fresh and keep them up to par with the rest of the league. And as a Laker fan, I remember when we had a championship caliber team. I think it was near the end of the Powell and Lamar era. I was thinking to myself that it is difficult to keep your team at a high enough level as players start to retire, as players start to move on to different things. It's hard when your cap is solidified to continue to improve significantly enough to keep up with the field as it continues to get better with flexibility that you don't have because your situation's solidified. As you're an NBA championship caliber team, there are teams making moves that are getting better than you to try to get to where you're at. Sometimes they surpass you, and so it becomes a situation where I look at the Bucks and I think a little bit of what that is happening to them, since they have Bobby Portis and Lopez, Middleton, Holiday. Who else? Obviously Giannis, and what's the kid from Duke? The Caucasian dude is always kicking people and stuff. Basically, they got him still, right? I think he came over from Memphis. His name escapes me, but we've talked about him several times. He's turned to a pretty solid shooter. The point is, it's like 7 or 8 players on the Bucks team that you don't expect to ever move. Don't expect them to trade them. So it's like with the stuff that they would be willing to move, how much of it has value? And so that's the problem. They haven't really developed players so much that you would think, okay, the Bucks are onto something. They did do some good things, I think, this year with the draft. They picked up a player. I don't remember who it was, but I remember his name being A-OK in regards to my mind. I think it was Andre Jackson or something like that. I'm not sure. But the point is they did pretty good with the draft pick that they got. And re-signing Brook Lopez was a good deal. You got Bobby Portis playing in Team USA, so that's really good. He'll be in good shape to start the season. Giannis is still trying to recover from the back, but at least he finished the playoffs. So this is one of those situations where you just look up and say the Milwaukee Bucks, they have to move something they don't want to move to kind of create the flexibility necessary to kind of make Giannis happy in this situation, I feel. I don't remember the quote that Giannis said, but essentially his idea is he wants to see his team on the same page. The players and everybody got to be on the same page if they want him to stay there. If not, he's not signing his extension. To me, that just signals that he wants the Milwaukee Bucks to remain current. That's all. You don't have to go out and get James Harden. You don't have to necessarily go out and trade blow anything up around him. Just make sure that the role players on the back of that bench are up to par so that if he needs to miss time, the team is cohesive. So if that Drew Holiday misses time, the team's got a good situation going for themselves. So that's tricky. That's ultimately tricky. Just because nothing can be moved. So for me, I'm moving Middleton. I'm going to make it very easy for myself. I'm just going to move Middleton. I'm going to shop him around. Maybe even bring myself Tobias Harris. That $35 million expiring contract will be very attractive in the offseason. for me, when I have that money on my books, try to get myself something for Giannis, maybe a plethora of pieces to kind of keep our team deep. Maybe get him an extra draft pick, trying to find a first rounder somewhere, just so that we can have something very valuable upon his signing that extension. My gut tells me he never reaches free agency anyway. That's what my gut is telling me, that he will never reach free agency. But from what I understand, according to Ticket TV, if for some reason he does hit free agency, the NBA buzz is that he'll likely want to come to the Lakers. I read something in the comment section. You take that with a grain of salt. You read it in the comment section, either it's true or it's not. But from what I understand, there's been footage of Mrs. Antetokounmpo letting everybody know that she's a Laker fan, part of Laker Nation. So if that is the case, then that would be something to consider. She might be from California, so it's like, if she has ties to the city and she's one of us, then that's a huge sway in regards to what Giannis is going to do going forward. So I think the Milwaukee Bucks, the pressure is on for them to improve. But when you have already delivered and you saw they had their back against the wall at that time and still managed to get him what made him happy and then win the championship after that, you just got to expect that should carry weight when considering whether or not they should be able to keep him happy from here. I don't think the stuff they have is like devoid of value. I don't look at them like, with all due respect, the Miami Heat, of whom don't have anything that they would be willing to move that's worth what others would want. I don't think Milwaukee's necessarily in that boat. But at the same time, their stuff isn't overly valuable. Now, I don't know of their pick situation. Maybe they would consider mortgaging a few of those future picks to try to bring themselves a bit more of what can help them right now. I don't think that's the worst idea. I don't. I also think that, you can try to kick the tire. I mean, as we say, you don't want to do this, but like a James Harden, Dame Lillard, maybe you kick the tire to see if you can make a trade like that. But I don't know that you upgrade there if you do either of those moves, to be honest with you. Only because Drew Holiday's an elite defensive player. Neither one of them guards are defensive players, and you're likely going to have to move Drew to get one of those two. So I'm just kicking the can, probably not going to execute a trade or nothing like that. But that's the problem that you have to bring to Giannis when considering how to improve his team. That's what it is, bro. It's not a whole lot of places the GM can go to improve that particular roster right now. I just don't. It's going to be a situation where you're probably going to be moving laterally for a little bit. You know what I mean? You trade Middleton for somebody just as good as Middleton. Trade Drew for somebody just as good as Drew. Maybe you can, at the deadline, maybe move Brook Lopez. It's probably a good idea since he's as old as he is. I don't think that investment was bad for them because, again, the options were slim. So if you're going to let Brook Lopez go, you had better have an option to bring in something in. I don't see an upgrade around. So re-signing Brook Lopez makes sense to me. So that's the thing. It's like, I hear you, Giannis. If I'm the GM, I hear you. But then I have to come to you and say, well, bro, this is what we have. What do you want to do? Because there's not a whole lot we can do to get better. If you're asking for us to make you better, I don't know how to do that. Other than the trade stuff that probably players that you want on your team, man. That's the stuff that other teams are going to want too. So, I'm uncomfortable if I'm the Milwaukee Bucks. I'm uncomfortable because I don't know what I can do. Last time, to keep him happy, you had to go get Drew Holiday. You know what I mean? And so they did that. I don't know that they have the assets to go and get anything else, and I don't know that they'll be better if they tried to. That's the concern. I threw out Keldon Johnson's name this morning. He's on a 4-year deal, $24 million a year, something like that. I just look at that as an attractive contract and piece for a lot of teams. Maybe Milwaukee would be interested in that piece. I don't know if that would be something San Antonio would be willing to do, moving on from Keldon Johnson. But as I start to scramble around to try to figure out how I can make this team better, I'm going to try to get a high-level player that I can probably trade for without giving up any of my core. So it's going to be picks, man. Milwaukee's going to have to trade away some 2027s, 2026s, kind of improve their roster. That's what I see there. And I don't know, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know if I'm them, if that's the right decision. Now, granted, if it's gonna be between me keeping Giannis and losing Giannis, then I got to do what I got to do to keep him. But just the same, if I do that and I still lose him, now my future's gone too. So how much do I trust that me trading those picks will ultimately keep him here? And that is something I would need him to answer before making that trade, which is something he probably wouldn't be best for answering before seeing what he has after. Before seeing what he has when that trade is made. So that is the problem that I see there. I know I'm overthinking this because Giannis, all he said is he wanted people on the same page. But I read straight through that and I say he wants the team to improve. And I tell you guys, man, and I made the suggestion to the Bucks last year, probably the year before that at some point. You just got to invest in player development, just like I suggest to everybody else, but specifically to them. When you have a team that is in the space you're in with your contracts all aligned and everybody very win now and everything seems to be as if you're still a contender, but you can feel yourself plateauing off of that contender ledge back down to normal levels, you need to know that moves need to be made of some sort to keep the player who is extraordinary feeling like he can still win in your situation, especially right before free agency comes. So that's really what it is. He's putting pressure on the organization. I think it's healthy pressure, but I don't know if he has in mind what all they would be able to do. And so if they don't do nothing, is that going to be a problem, Giannis? Because it may not be in their best interest to really do anything. So that's the question. That is my question for Giannis Antetokounmpo in regards to the situation. As I said in the comments section of the Ticket TV's video, Giannis is welcome here. If you're asking me, it's up to him what he wants to do. He's always going to be welcome here. Obviously, this is post LeBron we're talking about. We don't expect that he, LeBron, and AD would be on the same team. This is assuming Bron moves on. But if that doesn't happen, then everything's still up in the air in regards to what our core looks like, because I don't think anybody's going to be certain what to do in that situation around here. I'm going to be honest with you. Giannis Antetokounmpo start talking about he wants to be a Laker. I don't know if we're holding on to 40-year-old Bron, man. I don't think that makes much sense. I'm just going to be honest with you. But at the same time, Giannis is also starting to age, and those injuries are starting to pile up to him too, particularly a back injury. And you know that you're going to ask him to basically shoulder the load and play 82 games and be the best player on both sides of the floor and all kinds of other stuff, along with Anthony Davis, which is an interesting pairing. But I don't know if I trust their health. So, not that I would turn Giannis away in any way. He would definitely be somebody I'd want on my team, no matter really what. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. If he wants to be here, I ain't gonna turn him away. Ain't gonna happen. So yeah, man, it's all good, man. It's all good. I think that when you have rumors like this, this is the beginning of what's gonna drive you all nuts. I'm gonna do my very best to leave this conversation far and in between, because I really don't love these type of rumors when they don't hold a whole lot of weight. And we're very far away from anything like this being real. Here's the thing, though. When stuff like this starts to form, the rumors not only become of what's going to happen in free agency, but whether or not the team's going to feel pressured to make moves so that if he does commit to leaving, they don't lose him for nothing. And that can get interesting. That can get extremely interesting. Though I don't, in my mind's eye, actually see a path to that really manifesting. I don't think so. I don't think there's any world where Giannis demands a trade out of Milwaukee, and I don't think there's any world where he demands a trade out of Milwaukee to LA. I don't see that. That's not his character. That ain't even how he gets down. However, if for some reason things go left, anything's possible. But I just don't see Giannis abandoning his brand or what it is that he stands for, coupled with the fact that his brother's on the team. So it's a lot of things that tie him to that situation for the short term, even if it is catastrophically bad for some strange and inexplicable reason that I do not expect. Truth be told, the Milwaukee Bucks are a good team, man. They're going to be at the top of the Eastern Conference, I believe. I don't think there's any reason to think they're not going to be good. I'm kind of laughing at the ADP for Giannis Antetokounmpo on the fantasy teams that I've been drafting, because I've been able to get him so very often on these various teams I've been drafting because his ADP is so damn low. People are passing him up for the likes of Luka the Don and I think a guy like who else is going ahead of him this year? Of course, Jokic is going ahead of him. So his ADP is falling to like 4 or 5, and in that range, people are also reaching from Wembanyama. And so with him having a DNT, how do you pronounce that? How do you say that when the guy's injured? I think it's a DND or whatever they call that. Next to his name, people are passing on him. And I've just been drafting him with my 6th pick, drafting him with my 5th pick. And so I got him on like half of my teams. And I just know that's going to be fantastic for me because I do not expect that he's going to have anything less than a bounce back season. He's Giannis Antetokounmpo. And so with the emergence of the Jokic and Doncic and all these guys that are coming along, he's starting to slip in regards to how people are seeing him amongst the players in the league. And I think that is going to be very interesting going forward to see if there's any slippage and they got it right, or if he's going to have a massive bounce back and probably win another MVP trophy, which I would never rule out with a guy like that. So, yeah, another dominant season ahead for Giannis Antetokounmpo, I believe, and it's just going to be on the Bucks to try to make good little moves, man. Trade a back of the bench guy and a second round pick for an upgrade or something. That's what you want to do. But the thing about the Bucks that I have said that I did not mention yet in this video is that they have not done the greatest job with those moves. They were the team that traded 5 second-round picks or 4 second-round picks for Jay Crowder right after he had gotten traded to the Nets in that KD trade. I just thought that was one of the worst trades I'd ever seen. I would never give that much value up for Jay Crowder, and it proved to be exactly what I told you guys it was. Jay Crowder averaged like 5 points. He was never going to do nothing more than that. That's where he is in his career, but the Bucks misevaluated that guy, and it was what it was. And so they kind of do that kind of thing, and they need to abandon that and jump into what the Lakers is doing and get some second-round guys, some undrafted guys, get your G League team up to par. All that needs to be better for Milwaukee. So that's where my head is for them. They got to develop talent, man. They do not necessarily shine in that area in this league. But they did a fantastic job with Giannis himself. But that's not where the job ends, fellas. You got to keep doing that with everybody. So, yeah, player development is key for Milwaukee. They got a point guard in the back of that team, on the back of that bench that had a nice game or two near the end of the season. A lot of guys are often given opportunities that they never get throughout the course of the season in the last final games because load management and all that kind of stuff. This guy did some good things, and I don't remember what his name is. It's frustrating me a little bit because when you're talking about the Bucks, you definitely want to know who's on the roster. But I can tell you this: that point guard did some good things near the end of the season. I think developing him, giving him opportunities, seeing if there's more of that there should be one of the priorities for Adrian Griffin this year with the Bucks. And 2, I think that might be part of what Giannis' statement is about. When you talk about having players all be on the same page and you got a new rookie coach in place, maybe Giannis is not so certain. And this is just my speculation. It's what I'm reading into the words. Maybe Giannis is not so certain that the coach is going to be able to do that. And so that's what I'm reading into that statement as well. But I have faith in Adrian Griffin. And if I'm the Milwaukee Bucks, and I've already said this once, if I'm the Milwaukee Bucks, I'm going to see if I can get AJ Griffin from the Atlanta Hawks and bring him to my situation. You're already doing the nepotism thing with Antetokounmpo, brother. Bring Griffin's loved one relative to him and develop him. Because Atlanta, I don't know if they have the path to developing him. And with so many forwards coming in and out of the Hawks and not developing properly over the years, I want AJ Griffin the hell out of there, personally. I'm just saying that. I think he's better than what the Hawks are going to be able to showcase him to be. And the Bucks can use the talent at every position on their bench, in my opinion. So I don't know that the Hawks would be willing to give him up. If I'm the Hawks, I'm not gonna do that. But if I'm the Hawks, I'm also gonna be real with myself and say he'd probably get more opportunities there. And if I don't trade him while people still know of him to be a good player, and I keep playing him in this role, 3rd and 4th string small forward, I'm never gonna be able to get the value for him as he continues to be stereotyped into that role. So they better trade him while people still remember him and understand him to be a very good player. So that's what I think, man. The Hawks, go get some talent out of the Hawks. They got stuff that the Bucks need. And that's what I do. If I'm the Bucks, I'm going to look at teams that have log jams, man. You look at the Charlotte Hornets, they got nothing but guards. Go get you one. You know, you go look at San Antonio, they got nothing but forwards. Go get you one. You know, that's the type of stuff the Bucks need to do. You take your second round picks, you take your first round picks, and you assess them responsibly, and then you part ways with what is necessary so that your team can be as full as it needs to be to push past the Eastern Conference right now so that Giannis can be happy about whatever's going on. That makes the most sense to me. And then leave yourself enough picks to where you didn't go over that threshold. Yeah, that makes sense to me, man. You got to find a balance in what you're doing and be aggressive in that balance, because at the end of the day, it's Giannis time. And if he hits free agency, all bets are off. All bets are off. You better hope he's loyal. Remember this. KD nonchalantly re-signed with the OKC Thunder. When LeBron James went on with the decision in Miami, KD released a little statement, said, "I'm going back to OKC, no problem, that's it." Labeled the most loyal person there was. 3 years later, he leaves there, goes to Golden State. Everybody's calling him a cupcake. Do not take Giannis's willingness to resign with y'all and then win that championship as a means of him being weak and not being willing to leave that place if y'all don't do right by him. We've seen this movie before. Do not take these superstars for granted, especially when they're at the level of Giannis Antetokounmpo or Kevin Durant. So that's my thought, man. That is pretty much my thought on the Milwaukee Bucks. I wish I would have known that point guard's name. Is it Wigington maybe or something like that? I don't know, man. It's out of my head. But that dude had a very, very solid end to his season. And when I see a player can do anything that looks really competent in the stats, I want to know if it translates to him being able to be cohesive with the big dogs. So that's what I want to see, man. Wigington, I believe is his name. Try to give him some minutes, see if he can do something behind Drew Holiday this year. That would be what I would say. Also, for what it's worth, somebody mentioned in the comment section that Bobby Portis also would prefer to be a Laker if for some reason his future is not in Milwaukee. I don't know of anything of the sort. I've never heard anything else like that. I'm just throwing it into the video because I read it somewhere. Comment section nonsense. Either way, I bring you what I have, and yeah, I don't expect Giannis to be a Laker no time soon. If he does become a Laker, I don't think it's going to be during the Lakers' LeBron tenure. LeBron will likely have his numbers in the rafters before anybody else is a star here. It's just a gut feeling. But for now, that's the news, man. That's what we're here to tell y'all, man. BDF 44. I thank y'all for watching. I'm out.